Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, about climate change, and things adjacent. And thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your comments and discussion. So Typhoon Hagibis has hit Japan. Japan deploys 110,000 rescuers after worst storm in decades. This is from BBC News, updated 13 minutes ago. More than 110,000 people are taking part in search and rescue operations after Typhoon Hagibis struck Japan on Saturday. The typhoon, the worst storm to hit the country in decades, has left at least 31 dead, with 15 missing. Typhoon Hagibis also caused the cancellation of 3 Rugby World Cup matches, but the key match between Japan and Scotland went ahead. Japan won 28-21. We don't care. The typhoon has weakened and moved away from land, but has left a trail of destruction. Thousands of police officers, firefighters, Coast Guard, and military are now working to reach those trapped by landslides and floods. So this is another major storm hitting Japan after, I don't know how many major storms Japan has had, flooding situations, high wind situations, and this has been going on all summer long. It seems like every single week or every other week, Japan has been hit by another extreme climate event. It just keeps on happening. So if you think this is normal weather, this is not normal weather. I'm sorry, you just cannot logically say that. This is abnormal, and this is due to higher temperatures in the oceans and the atmosphere. It was only last month that Typhoon Foxai, I don't know how to pronounce that, wreaked havoc on parts of Japan, damaging 30,000 homes. The capital, Tokyo, was left relatively unscathed, but other cities and towns across the country were inundated by water. Yesterday I talked a little bit about YouTube censorship. I don't know. A couple of people thought I was being funny, but so I don't know if you all can see this. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. The day that my numbers have been kind of all over the place. Anywhere between 800 views and 1,800 views. I was up in like the 2000s every single day about a month or two ago. And they just steadily decline, even though I still have the same number of subscribers. But anyways, what I'm trying to show you here is the last time I talked about this, I had a sudden jump in views on a channel and likes, comments, etc. Then it steadily kind of declined. They demonetized a couple videos in here, but then they remonetized them. Somebody said somebody reported they didn't get a notification for this video or for the October 10th video, which is how they suppress the views. They just don't give a notification that if you're subscribed, you're supposed to get a notification. Here's a new video today. So if you don't get that notification, maybe you think nothing came out, and maybe you just go about your day. And then again, when I said something about it yesterday, my views suddenly went up. I had 1,000 views by this morning, that's kind of like how it normally goes. And then whatever I get through the day until I post another video. But then they demonetized yesterday's video just for like a couple hours. And they slowed down the views again, whatever. I'm just saying, well, there's a noticeable difference. One more thing happened. I was at 2,415 subscribers for like weeks. For a couple weeks, it would go down a little bit and go up a little bit and go down a little bit. And as soon as I said something about them squashing my channel, I have 25 new subscribers just in the last couple of days. Just like, boom. Oh, here's all your subscribers back. I don't know if they were people resubscribing. I don't know. It's just funny business, man. I don't know what else to say, but somebody said it was confirmation bias. It's not, I'm not turning something that I'm not seeing into something that's, or something that isn't there into something that's there. These are really real numbers that are happening, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying you have more power than you think. And if you think you don't have any power, just talk about something and see an ad for that thing that you're talking about come up on your phone. I was going to call it a telephone. You don't think they're not listening? Just, my friend was here. We were having a discussion about back pain, and he, as soon as he left, got an ad about back pain. And he was like, so I didn't Google anything about it. I just had a conversation with you about it, and all of a sudden this ad came up. Oh, they're not listening. And the other thing that I brought up that might have caused some, consternation or whatever. Again, when I brought up the contrail thing, it's just weird. You would think like, oh, how can one little guy on a YouTube channel have control over contrails in the sky? Obviously, I don't have a firm belief that I do. I'm just saying it's a really weird coincidence that whenever I talk about it, they disappear. And it's happened like 5 or more times. So if anybody lives in the LA area and you notice that there haven't been contrails for months, again, that's another indication to me that something is weird, because the conditions at one time existed every single day for there to be persistent contrails, and now they don't. And we're talking about Los Angeles. We have very, very stable, steady weather. We don't have extreme weather. We have a very stable weather regime. You would think that there would be variables. If it was natural, if they were naturally occurring, they would, change. Some days there might be, some days there might not be, right? That would be a natural variable. But, every single day for months and months and months, this is, talking about a couple of years ago. So that's unnatural. Where's the natural variable in that? And then no contrails at all for, weeks on end. Again, where's the natural variable about? If they're natural, I don't try to explain it to me, because whatever you're going to say is, not really going to sound very, you're not following my line of reason if you don't follow my line of reason. It's just a simple deduction. This is called logic. But some people like pretzel logic, and that's fine too. Moving on, going to cover a little bit of Extinction Rebellion. They sent out a newsletter, their latest newsletter. Dear Rebel, the global rebellion is in full swing. We are still holding sites in Paris, London, and Berlin, bringing boats into the center of Amsterdam and New York, creating beautiful artistic actions in Mexico and Brazil, and disco blockading in Melbourne, to name but a handful. Many more actions are planned, reaching as far as Japan and Gambia. There are tens of thousands of us on the street across the world, on the streets I think they meant, and almost 1,500 brave rebels have already been arrested internationally outside the UK. You may have also seen the incredibly oppressive tactics faced by peacefully protesting rebels in Brussels yesterday, where water cannons and pepper spray were used by police in full riot gear. If you have already donated to XR International, thank you for your rebellious heart. So they're seeking, if you want to donate to XR, you can do it here. I'll show you some of the pepper spray footage. I don't know if y'all saw that. And I'm going to move on to the water cannon footage. That hurts right there. Wow, wild stuff. And lastly, I want to bring you this.
Still growing. There's thousands of people here, and the police don't really have it separated between the people pro-Trump, the people against Trump.
So I want to bring you a little bit of video from Unicorn Riot. There's some huge anti-Trump protests in Minneapolis. And basically the police were, kind of allowing the Trump supporters a lot more leeway than they were the anti-Trump supporters. And apparently somebody was waving a pistol through a car, and some people tried to bring it to the police's attention, and they were like, sorry. Looks reminiscent of Standing Rock, where some anti-protest, pro-pipeline people were waving guns at the protesters, and the police did not care.
Thousands of people here in the streets outside the Target Center here in Minneapolis to oppose Donald Trump. He's having his rally here tonight. Cops putting on riot gear right now behind the horse line.
Here's a guy pointing a pistol.
Has a gun. You want to tell us what happened?
Yes, we were in a peaceful line, linked arms in front of the police, and the car drove by holding a gun, pointing it at us. The guy literally in the passenger seat was like, he mouthed. Someone I overheard, like, I'm going to...
See if you can see that again.
Behind the horse line.
Yep.
The guy in the car has a gun. You want to tell us what happened?
Yes, we were...
Yeah, things getting out of hand all over the globe. Although, the American protests or U.S. protests aren't quite as out of hand as some other protests around the planet have gotten. And maybe they need to get a little more out of hand. I don't know. But, that is all I have for you today. I just want to give you a little quick roundup. Oh, you know what? One more thing I wanted to do for you tonight. I wanted to bring you a little humor, and I've been trying to read these Marty McCorkle comments because they're very funny. And I save them, and then I kind of run out of time to read them. So I'm going to read you a couple just for a little levity. Marty McCorkle, this is from September 27th. I felt a pang of guilt for Kevin being trapped in a car culture. Unable to fully participate in the gas strike. I'm responsible for that. I'm Car Spartacus. I bought up the red car lines and electric rail cars in the late 1940s and dismantled them so that Los Angelinos would be stuck having to buy cars. I'm just evil, I suppose. And it worked perfectly. But now I'm really super sorry for buying those public transit lines and closing them down. It keeps me up late at night wondering how to fix the car mess I made. Wait, hold the phone. I remember all that wrong. It was Dodge Motors that bought up LA public transit lines, not me, not even a foot of line. Phew, I feel less guilty. We love our ecological collapse guilt, don't we? I used to hog up at the guilt trough getting mine, and I felt pretty good about feeling bad, but upon reflection, I'm not responsible for the hot water all of you good folk find yourselves in. You too, insects. And you, birds, and all my fellow sentient beings except mosquitoes, sorry. You suffered, and I feel for you. But if you want me to feel guilty for it, email your request to yesteryear when I was doing guilt. In relationship to this failing industrial civilization, people guilt themselves right royally by taking responsibility for a system they didn't contrive, construct, or build, but have to participate in to get by. Guilt gives them something to do, I suppose, but by all means, guilt up. I will watch and prompt you to continue self-accusations. It's my kind of Oprah, The Guilty Show. I'm doing what little I can to help the delay biosphere smasharoo. But I didn't start the fire. I don't guilt myself. I leave guilt to the highly trained public performance professionals. Consider doing so yourself. I'm feeling pretty good post-guilt when I'm not bluesy about my planet becoming unlivable. I'm not quite on top of that little problem yet, though. Walks seem to take the edge off the planetary extinction, at least so I've heard. I find shoplifting very cheering myself. So if collapse-related guilt gets you down, consider feeling guilty about not being guilty. It's a first step. We'll get through this together, or at least until we no longer can do to Earth kerspatting. Hope you all enjoyed that as I did. I'm going to read one more from Marty. Excuse me. And this is from October 1st. He says, will environmental overshoot collapse abruptly show up one morning at the nation's front yard in a U-Haul truck? Not even. Instead, it will send boxes of its mischief ahead of its arrival to do us some mischief. Farming will go on the blink, prompting some Americans to imagine at times that there might be something to this climate change. The federal government will occasionally get jumpy and find relief by pressing the martial law button from time to time before sitting on it semi-permanently. And certain young members of the American public will get a good whiff of revolution and think that a different life, one without the present ruling class, couldn't be any worse than this quick march to ecocide. People get unpredictable when their planet becomes increasingly unlivable, making the current ruling class seem a luxury item not worth the upkeep. Collapse doesn't have a birthday. It slowly fades into clarity, like an instamatic Polaroid photo for everyone to see clearly eventually. So even on days when the "we are so fucked" is sloshing against one's ankles, there's still time to act constructively, which might mean departing completely from our sorry, suicidal rut of extravagant energy and resource consumption, air flights, birthing kids, commuting, jobs outdated in a crisis, and the many other present ways by which we pull slow collapse towards us faster than it would otherwise arrive. Many fundamental changes that would shock and frighten us will come and will make sense in a future very different from our present. Business as usual is running low on the usual, and our current living arrangements will be getting the hook. Big social, political, and economic changes will come with ecological overshoot changes in our current way of life, despite widespread incredulity, will be hustling into the sunset as if hounded by creditors. Exciting times. Centuries like this don't come around every week. Thank you, Marty McCorkle. Keep them coming. There's actually a few more that I would like to read, but I don't have time. I'll read them in another episode. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. And I know a lot of you send me emails and commentary. I apologize. I try to respond when I can or when I have a moment, but it's kind of an overwhelming deluge, and I just kind of try and pick out what I can pick out for these videos. But if you knew the amount of stuff that I could cover compared to what I'm actually covering in these videos, it's just like, it's miniature. So keep it coming, guys. But I wanted to apologize if I'm not responding or reading your articles, or I'm up against it. Hopefully one day in the future I'll just have lots of money or something, or free time, money and free time, and I can spend a lot more time like responding to people's emails and doing like many videos a day, stuff like that. I wouldn't mind doing that. Working on it. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, until next time, peace.